Was a girl running in our group. She had a high-speed motor in a 40 Ford Coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look at Buddy, hot rod and large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod.
Now, we talked about this, and I got to tell you, this carries over about the right to repair. And the right to repair, it all started out east. I think it was Pennsylvania or one of them. But they want the states to confirm. The dealership wants to be the only place you can go to get your car fixed. Okay? They want to be the only ones that will sell the parts for that car. The only ones that will repair your car. That puts somewhere around a zillion people out of business. Out of work. The guys that work in the manufacturing plants for aftermarket parts, the parts stores, the repair shops like myself, the equipment salesman like I buy all the time. This can't be. They can't be a monopoly. Now they're trying to be, and the way things are going, they may get away with it around here now, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think the new House is going to make sure that it doesn't happen because we have a right to do these jobs. And you have a right to save money. That's what one of those acts is called, the Save Money Act. Give me a break. I mean, there's a reason it's called that, Chuck.
Right. Well, remember, though, we talked about this a few weeks ago. This has some further reaching implications, though. Also, a lot of this started like with John Deere and tractors. This also applies to like your cell phone, things like that. So, I mean, it has a lot of applications and implications. But, we've become sort of this disposable society where it's like, oops, my cell phone has a crack in it. Time to throw it out. Or the battery, whatever. I mean, and that's sort of the thing.
You're not going to do that with a $100,000 pickup truck.
Right.
It has a crack in it.
But also, I mean, the idea, again, going back to the idea of the batteries, it's like if I've seen viral images of the cost to replace the battery is nearly as much as the battery itself.
Oh, so absolutely.
So, I mean, is that one of the things we're going to end up with, an aftermarket battery store where you can buy used cells or something like that? But then they say, well, it voids the warranty.
Well, I think you're going to find a lot of new businesses popping up as a result of electric vehicles.
Right.
The recyclers.
Right.
The people, the repair of the batteries. But that's all going to be done, of course, by factory people, because if they get their way, it's going to be done by factory people. If the American people have their way, it won't be that way.
But then when it comes to things like the batteries, then you have a monopoly. If we want to charge you $15,000 for a new battery, and
you'll have no control over the price. The price will be whatever the traffic can bear. Same way the way they're selling cars. And that leads me into, after I really am worried about this. I want that right to repair to pass everywhere in every state so that everybody can continue to make a living, learn their trade. We can have our apprentices trained. We can get up there and get things done and put people back on the road without the terrible experience of a dealer. And I told you I would tell you why I'm not a dealer anymore, and that's why. When they weren't making you wait 6 hours for a 20-minute oil change, or they're making you take an appointment for 3 weeks down the road on a car that doesn't run right, it just, the aftermarket people, the people in your neighborhood, the car repair shops, the parts stores, they deserve a shot at this. I mean, we've been keeping America driving for years. They are selling the cars, but we keep America driving, and I'm telling you that from the heart. That is for sure. All right. One more thing that gets me going, Chuck, and I think we should start smoking on about this. This will put tobacco in your pipe, buddy. Ford expects to lose $3 billion on electric vehicles this year. Okay. Ford Motor Company expects its electric vehicle business to lose $3 billion this year, even as it forecasts increased profits from their internal combustion and commercial vehicle operations. The automaker on Thursday, profits now, you heard that was profits.
Right, okay.
The automaker on Thursday projected that losses from its electric vehicle unit called the Model E, or Model E is the name of the unit that builds anything electric,
right,
will increase nearly 50% in 2023 from $2.1 billion last year as it continues to invest in boosting production and developing next-generation products on a dedicated EV platform. Ford said it expects about $7 billion in earnings before interest and taxes this year for the Ford Blue, its internal combustion business, and about $6 billion for Ford Pro, its commercial unit. And the commercial unit that's agriculture and also the over the road trucks and all that other stuff. So they expect to lose money, right? The very next story I pick up, Ford Motor Company on Friday said its Blue Oval City manufacturing plant there will produce 500,000 electric vehicle pickups per year when it comes online in 2025. The site will build a next-generation truck that CEO Jim Farley, that's the guy from Ford, has said would be another F-150 Lightning. Ford on Friday said the vehicle program is codenamed Project T3, which is short for Trust the Truck, a mantra engineers and designers have used while developing it. Okay. Project T3 is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to revolutionize America's truck, Farley said. In a statement, we are melding 100 years of Ford truck know-how with world-class electric software, vehicle software, and aerodynamics talent. It will be a platform for endless innovation and capacity. Now,
okay,
this brings me back to my controlled inventory debacle.
Okay.
This, in one breath, they say they're going to lose so many billions over an electric vehicle, and the next breath they're going to build 500,000 electric pickups per year out of a plant that's now building internal combustion.
Okay, so there's a third story I want to throw into the mix here about Ford. I don't know if you had seen this or not. There was a story from a couple days ago that said Ford has withdrawn a petition seeking regulatory approval to deploy up to 2,500 self-driving vehicles annually without human controls like a steering wheel. So they originally were looking for a petition to start basically testing cars that would be like basically an autonomous taxi, no human, no steering wheel. And so they sort of realized maybe they jumped the gun a little bit. They said Ford said in a February 13th letter, it is more prudent to focus on other technologies that don't require the exemption because they believe the road to fully autonomous vehicles as a profitable model will be a long one. So basically they were trying to catch up with Elon because Elon right now is sort of the gold standard when it comes to autonomy.
Just the other day I read where Elon was quoted as saying maybe artificial intelligence should take a rest for a while.
Well, and so
because it's going too much too fast.
Right.
I agree with him 100%.
Right. And so that's a little bit of a different thing from, I mean, there is the idea of having some AI in the autonomous vehicles, but this is specifically the idea of basically having a taxi with no driver, picks you up, drops you off, no driver,
the autonomous vehicles rely on AI.
Right.
For stopping, avoiding crashes, stopping or slowing down to pick up people. I mean, it's that kind of thing. AI is important to autonomy.
Right. No, I think they do go hand in hand. And so it was interesting he made that comment. But going back to the Ford thing, though, is that basically Ford is saying, look, it's not ready yet. We're not ready to, we're already losing a lot of money as it is. And now we're going to lose a lot of money trying to develop this technology. It's going to be a long road. It's not something where in the next couple of years we're going to have full autonomy. I mean, once your engineers start changing gears from a traditional model to, hey, by the way, we want you to start building autonomous cars. Yep. They all look at each other and go, okay, well,
how do we do that?
Elon's probably not going to answer our phone calls.
Yeah.
So I mean, the big auto manufacturers are starting to realize that this isn't the simplest process.
No, it's not, and it's not going to be something that happens overnight. They haven't got the electric vehicle down pat yet. Let's face it. The battery technology keeps changing. It keeps goofing off and messing around, and it's just there's just so much going on in this artificial intelligence. Of course, first of all, Chuck, I don't believe in it. I know you're an engineer and you do, and that's fine. We won't argue that point. Not tonight. We will someday.
Okay.
But the self-driving cars, when Elon Musk says AI needs to take a break for a little while and let's get everything else going, that's why Ford went, oh, wait a minute, he is the gold standard. You know that.
Right.
And if Elon's backing off from fully autonomous, everybody else is too.
Well, okay, so I would say, again, so think of them as two different things. There's the AI that goes into a vehicle, and then there's this idea of having AI, writing stories and making pictures and all these things. So to your point, there is AI involved in autonomous vehicles, but I think he's always been somebody that's been concerned in the broader sense of sort of, the Terminator and the Skynet taking over the world kind of thing. So it's something that he, knowing the technology, he sees that as a very real possibility that we could lose control of this very quickly. So,
absolutely. And AI, you know what? Autonomous driving like that with no steering wheel, no brake pedal, no nothing, is going to require speedy recognition and speedy thought process.
Right.
And in other words, think like a person, because there's nothing that fast. Okay, and you got to have that autonomy. You got to have the sensors down pat. You got to have all your ducks in order before you can say, hop in this car, it'll drive you somewhere. It's not going to happen real fast.
Right.
And it's not going to happen real easy. My big thing, though, with this whole thing with the trucks and the cars and Ford losing money, they're not losing money on electric. You know what?
Well, it's going to be subsidized, too. No big business loses money anymore. The government.
Oh, absolutely not. The government will subsidize them. Plus, they're going to keep their inventories low. This is keeping their inventories, they call it inventory control. Well, guess what? Inventory control is costing you a fortune. Tesla and GM are being pressed by key U.S. Senator on possible links to forced labor in China. The anti-China stuff is really popping its head up everywhere. U.S. Senator Ron Wyden is pressing automakers, including Tesla and General Motors, for more information about their supply chains amid concerns about forced labor in China. Well, of course they got forced labor. They always have. Like we didn't know this? The Democrat is from Oregon, sent letters to the automakers and top suppliers Tuesday. Wyden is requesting details about their efforts to ensure that none of the materials in their cars come from regions like Xinjiang, where the U.S. and others have alleged that China has pushed ethnic minorities into jobs programs. That's only when they're not harvesting their organs. The scrutiny comes amid a U.S. crackdown on goods for Xinjiang under a law passed in late 2021. Materials, even partially made in the region, can't be imported into the U.S. Good. The Senate Finance Committee, which Wyden chairs, launched an investigation last year into whether major automakers are using parts made with forced labor from Xinjiang, whatever. They're called Tier 1 suppliers, which provide parts directly to the automaker that have direct or indirect sub-suppliers in China. Information I have learned from the initial stages of the committee's investigation raises serious questions about Tier 1 suppliers' ability to ensure that sub-suppliers do not rely on forced labor. Wyden wrote to suppliers including Denso, Continental, Magna International, ZF Friedrichshafen, and AG and Robert Bosch. I'm telling you, some of these things kind of come from China. What are you talking about, forced labor? They've had forced labor forever, Chuck. I mean, China was a mess. They don't have any. If you're not a Chinese communist, you're in that country. You can't own anything, you can't do anything, and you're liable to get your liver cut out. And now they are saying, well, we're not going to buy parts. You guys can't buy parts from those people. Okay. Where are you going to get them? Where else do they make some of that stuff? And at what price? Remember I told you about the election last week in the UAW and I was all worried about it? Well, I had nothing to worry about. I guarantee you. Shawn Fain won the election over Ray Curry. Shawn Fain is a UAW rank and file member. He's a stalwart, honest man that we know so far. Of course, being as president of the union may change all that, but he's going in with the right attitude. The election of Shawn Fain as the UAW's 5th president in 5 years, could upend what we are already expected to be difficult contract negotiations between the union and Detroit 3 automakers this year. Oh, yeah. Well, that was one of the things. They were complaining that the last president, not Ray Curry, but the guy before Ray Curry, was given concessions to Chrysler products because Chrysler was giving them money to build all their little toys and their goodies. They were collaborating on what they were calling the training money. But his razor-thin margin of victory, it was, incumbent Ray Curry, Fain won by fewer than 500 votes and received the support of less than 7% of the UAW's membership, could make it rough to rally a disgruntled membership eager to move beyond the union's troubled past. And troubled it is. No one can declare they have a mandate, says Merrick Masters, a business professor at Wayne University in Detroit. He specializes in labor issues. The membership is obviously divided. I think the number one challenge facing Fain is to unite the membership behind a bargaining strategy. Fain, who was sworn in on Saturday, will have to hit the ground running. He certainly will. He's got a lot of corruption to just sweep out the door. Union leaders from around the country will gather this week for a special bargaining convention where they'll vote on resolutions and priorities to guide their strategy this fall. This is when it's happening, this fall. Look for a strike to come.